Hello. Have you ever heard that a picture is worth 1,000 words? I'd like to start this speech by showing you this picture. And it's a picture of a healthy, young, happy boy whose name is Abdallah Kader. And I'm going to ask you that you remember his face while we talk about why there should be harsher consequences for drunk driving. The subject is actually very close to my heart because as a dispatcher, I've sent out countless calls for DWI, some of them which have ended up sadly in fatalities. So today we're briefly going to discuss the basics of drunk driving. We're going to discuss a particular type of drunk driving and why we need harsher consequences to wake them up and make a difference. First, we're going to cover some DWI basics. DWI simply means driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs. And when you hear the term BAC, it stands for blood alcohol concentration. In Texas, the subjects that are 21 years of age can have up to 0.08. After that, you're considered DWI. For commercial drivers, it's 0.04. Anybody younger than 21, it's any detectable amount. There is no tolerance. If you are under 21 and you have any amount of alcohol in your system, then you're considered DWI. And the offenses can be up to, depending on what's going on at the situation, it can be up to intoxication assault and intoxication manslaughter. Now, we all know drunk driving is wrong. Most of us are also going to agree that we want the offenders off of our roads. But is the punishment given out right now, is it enough and is it making a difference? Well, according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, even though there has been a decline in alcohol-impaired driving fatalities, there is still a dangerous trend with hardcore drunk drivers. So hardcore drunk drivers are those that drive with the blood alcohol concentration of 0.15 or more, or do so repeatedly. They also have more than one impaired driving arrest and are resistant to changing their behavior despite any consequences. Here's some more statistics. 70% of drivers that are involved in a DWI fatality had a BAC of 0.15 or higher. This trend has remained unchanged for more than 10 years. So even though there has been a decline in the accidents or in the fatality in general, these drivers have remained unchanged. They're also 8 times more likely to have a prior conviction to DWI, and they are 380 times more likely to be involved in a single vehicle crash than non-drunk drivers. So basically, 1/3 of all drivers arrested for DWI are repeat offenders. So, think about this. Since we see that the research shows that 1/3 of these drivers are going to drive intoxicated again, how does it make you feel to know that these people are back out on the street? How does it make you feel that these people are driving on the same streets that you and I drive on? The same street that our kids are driving on? According to the Dallas Morning News, in an article dated August the 16th of 2010, Dallas County had the 3rd highest rate of DWI fatalities in the nation. Now that's very close to home. 40% of those arrested for intoxication manslaughter, which means someone had to die over the prior 10 years, never even saw a prison cell. In the cases where they did receive a jail sentence, it was only 120 to 180 days. And 1/3 of these offenders, again, are going to drive drunk one more time. So, when we fail to issue the appropriate punishment, innocent bystanders get hurt. For example, we're going to take a look at what happened in Fort Worth just recently. A guy that was 16 years of age named Ethan Crouch caused the death of 4 people in a drunk driving crash. Again, he was 16 years of age. Brianna Mitchell had trouble when she was driving her vehicle and it was stalled. Brian Jennings, who's a youth pastor, and a mother-daughter team named Holly and Shelby Boyle stopped to help her. This young man was drunk driving. His BAC was 0.24, and he had already had 2 prior alcohol-related citations. On a road where the speed limit was 40, he was going 68 to 70 miles per hour when he hit them, and he killed them all. And do you know what kind of consequence this young man received for taking 4 lives? He got probation for 10 years in rehab. Unfortunately, while this young man can still enjoy holidays and time with his family and eat his favorite foods, the family members of these 4 people, all they have to live with or are off of are memories. Then we're going to come to the offenders who just don't care. According to the Texas Tribune, an article published in 2014 in April of 2014, there's a subject that was on trial in the Travis County for drunk driving. And he actually told the jury straight up, yes, I will drive again with alcohol in my system. And he told them that he didn't need any treatment at all. After speaking to one of the officers with the Arlington Police Department, she shared basically the same information or the same opinion. She said that the purpose of handing out punishment for those who violate laws are attempts to curb people's behaviors, to make people think and be more cautious of their actions. Of these DWI drivers that end up arrested, charged, and convicted, several continue to drink and drive. And despite being sentenced, the punishment is still not stiff enough to change their behavior or habits. Therefore, there is a need to have harsher punishments for those who make the decision to go out and drink and drive. Unfortunately, in addition to that, there's many cases that get caught up in the legalities of the system. Did you know that many intoxication manslaughter cases never even get tried or prosecuted on that charge? Because they say that it's very hard to prosecute those cases because it's hard to prove that intoxication itself was the cause of the assault. We're going to talk about now what happened on February 20th, 2009 in Arlington, where a drunk driver with a long history of DWI in not just Texas but 4 states smashes into a vehicle that's occupied by a family that lived in Arlington. Now this family had done everything right. They actually had a 2-year-old sitting in the back seat, and this child was strapped into his safety seat, right? But if you look at this picture, this is a picture of the vehicle that they were in after the crash. And do you see where the back seat was? It was right here. Pretty much the back of that vehicle smashed into that car. Or I'm sorry, the trunk of that vehicle is now in the back seat. So we got to think about, where's that little boy? Now that little boy ended up with brain damage, and he pretty much can't do anything for himself anymore. He's like in a vegetative state. The suspect that hit them had a BAC that was 3 times the legal limit. Now remember, the legal limit is .08. Now, in his situation, prosecutors want to use the DWI information or the charges that he had in the other states to enhance his punishment, but as of right now, they haven't been able to do so, and that subject has been in jail for 5 years waiting on them to do that. For the little boy, you know, we say he's in a vegetative state. He's never going to be able to enjoy things that all the other kids enjoy. He won't be able to get married or go to school or graduate or celebrate anything because he doesn't know what's going on anymore. As a matter of fact, he's actually dying. So, I want you to remember the picture of the little boy that I showed you at the beginning. Do you remember? That's him today. This little boy can't do what other little boys do while we're waiting for the subject that killed him to get punishment. Countless other people are only getting off on probation and not getting any jail time, or becoming hardcore drunk drivers with the attitude of not caring. In 2012 alone, over 10,000 people died in alcohol-related crashes. Even one death is too many. Harsher penalties won't bring them back, but they can help change the attitudes of the people getting behind the wheel today and help prevent future deaths.